Welcome to another review. Today I am reviewing the Wild Republic Ice Age Nature Tube, and I've been wanting to get this tube for a very long time, and so I finally got it. And it's a really nice collection. It's got 4 Ice Age mammals, 4 Neanderthals, a little campfire, and a rock wall. And before I get to the review, some of these they either came with horrible paint jobs or they didn't come with any paint jobs, so I tried to fix that up a little, so I'll go over that as I review these. So let's start off with the Saber-Toothed Cat right here. It's a nice design. He appears to be crouching, maybe stalking his prey. Pretty nicely crafted. If you want to see the face detail. Nose, the eyes, the teeth. And the way the teeth are designed, they're kind of in front of the bottom jaw instead of on the sides of them. So yeah, what I noticed with some of these animals, it's not exactly the most accurate representation of what these animals would have really looked like, but I like it. It's not entirely accurate, but it doesn't bother me. But one thing that I do not exactly like is the fact that the saber-tooth kind of has like a lion's mane. See how the mane runs all the way to the back? And it's not, we don't have definitive proof whether Saber-Tooth had a mane or not, but... So he appears to be crouching. You can see the details in his legs. You can see the tension in the muscles. So pretty nicely designed. And then when it first came, it didn't have like a paint job at all. The only thing that was painted was the black spots on the eyes, and the teeth were only halfway done with a horrible paint job. So what I did was I took my acrylic paint, added some spots, added some brown paint to the tip of his tail, and then I added some brown paint to his ears, and did some little stripe markings on his face, and even did the nose. And then since the teeth were only halfway done with a horrible paint job, I fixed that up. So yeah, instead of complaining about the horrible paint job, I just decided to fix it. And I probably did like a tacky job, but it's still a lot better than what it used to be. So we got the saber-tooth right here. It says Saber-Toothed Cat, if you can see it on the underbelly. And then I even added little white spots for the claws on his feet. So there's the saber-tooth. And then we have the Mammoth, which also didn't even come with much of a paint job other than the black spots on his eyes. First, the craft, the design. It's pretty nice. Again, not the most accurate representation of what the animal would have really looked like. His ears kind of look a little big and kind of humanoid. His tusks, though, I really like his tusks. Are big and curved. And then his trunk, you can see the muscles in his trunk. And then he doesn't really have that arched, humped shoulder that mammoths usually have, so kind of made me think of him more as a mastodon, especially with the head, because mammoths have very bulky heads, and doesn't look very bulky to me, so it looks more like a mastodon to me. And then he's kind of got short legs, and then the fur detail. And then his tail. And his backside. And then on the underbelly it says woolly mammoth. So yeah, again, this one came with not much of a paint job. So I added the brown color design on his back. First I used Sharpie to do the outline, and then I just painted within that line. And even added some brown to the toe columns, and brown on the tip of his tail. And then the tusks had a paint job, but it wasn't very nicely done. They were only like halfway done, like the saber-tooth fangs, and it was done with a horrible paint job, but I fixed it using my white acrylic paint. Painted it all the way to right here. So yeah, I probably didn't do the best paint job myself, but still a lot better than what it used to be. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of my paint job. Because most of these animals, I had to fix them up with my paint job because they came with horrible paint jobs. So the tusks were nicely done. So here we have the woolly mammoth. And next we have the woolly rhinoceros. Another nicely crafted figure. He kind of has a little bit of a mane-ish hairdo right here. And a large head with his ears. And like I keep mentioning, they didn't come with much of a paint job. The only thing that really came with the paint job was his eyes, the black spots on his eyes. So he's kind of got like a furry underbelly. Says woolly rhino, if you guys can see it. So yeah, from right here you can see the fur details on his underbelly going down from the bottom of his head to his belly. Short legs, and then his tail with a little tuft of fur at the end, and then his mane on top. So yeah, pretty nicely crafted figure. The mouth, the nose, the eyes, the ears. And then what I did with this one is it didn't come with much of a paint job other than the black spots on the eyes. And I don't know if you can tell, but I added another shade of brown paint to the mane. It kind of looks the same color, but if you look very carefully, you can see a little bit of a difference. Made it look a little better, if I do say so myself. And then the horns didn't come with a paint job, so what I did was I took some black and white acrylic paint, mixed it together, made a grayish color, and painted the horns gray. And I even took a little thumbtack and added some black details inside the nostrils of the rhino. And then I also did the same thing I did with the mane, added a brown acrylic paint color. I also did with the underbelly, the fur details on the underbelly. I also added a darker shade of brown paint. So yeah, this one wasn't really hard to paint, unlike the other ones. I just had to paint the mane and the underbelly. And I did the same thing with the tail, and then just added gray to the rhino's horn. So put it this way, most of the animals didn't really come with good paint jobs, so I decided to fix that up. And then we have the Ethereum, the giant ground sloth. The only paint job it came with was the kind of brownish orangey fur back. So this was not my work, it came with that paint job. But what I did do is I added some gray to his claws, because his claws didn't come with a paint job. It says ground sloth on his tail. If you could see his long hind legs, he's standing up, probably reaching for some trees. And he's using his tail for balance. And then he's got gray claws, and at least they included the paint job for his back, kind of an orangey color, fur color on his back. And then his head kind of looks a little bear-like, because with those little ears. And then his eyes. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, I did not come up with the designs. I kind of just looked at a picture of the animals with a better paint job, and I just copied it from there. So those are the animals. With the animals, I cared more about the paint job with the animals, so I decided to fix it. But for the paint job with the Neanderthals, I didn't really care, so I just left them like that, because chances are I would have really messed those up. So let's start with this guy. Appears to be standing there. Looks like he's giving orders or something. So if you can see his head, he's kind of got like very hairy Neanderthal. His ears, his eyes. I like the detail on the face. You can see his eyes, his nose, his mouth. Has a bit of a beard, and then he has a lot of chest hair. And then with this arm, the way he's posing kind of looks like he's giving orders or something. And if you can see right here, you can tell that this is a part of the clothing, kind of the same color as his skin. So that's what I mean by the horrible paint job. Not a lot of effort put into painting these figures. And then his legs. He has his hand on his hip and his other arm looks like a jester giving orders. And if you look on the ground beneath his feet, you can see a bone standing in between his feet. It looks like they didn't take the time to paint that bone in. So, nicely crafted Neanderthal. It says, as it says down here, Neanderthal man. And then we got a Neanderthal Hunter here. Kind of looks like the other man I was just reviewing. He has a spear in his hand, kind of flimsy. Yeah, pretty flimsy spear, not very long. If you're gonna hunt a mammoth with that, I suggest use a bigger spear. So he's just like the other human being, has a beard and a mustache. And then his hairy details, the face, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. And then it got that chest hair, and then he's got his clothing. I think this one had a better paint job than the other guy. And then if you could see a couple of stones beneath his feet. Didn't take the time to paint those. So yeah, here we have the Neanderthal Hunter. And then we have another Neanderthal here. Looks like he's warming up by the fire. He's crouching down, he has his hands together, probably trying to keep warm near the fire. Because his set did come with a fire. And he appears to have longer hair. And his clothing, he's squatting down trying to keep warm by the fire. So he's got his clothing, his arms, his eyes. Not the best paint job with the eyes, kind of looks like he's crossing his eyes. It says Neanderthal. Oh, it's a woman. Didn't take the time to read that, so this apparently is a Neanderthal woman warming up by the fire. And then right here we have another Neanderthal, appears to be working, probably grinding stone or something, smashing something with a rock on top of a larger rock. Kind of looks like a boy doing some work. Neanderthal man doing some work. Yeah, and like the paint job, looks like they didn't take the time to paint this rock that he's working on. It's the same color as his skin color. And then he has kind of long but short hair. And the way he's working probably looks like he's trying to smash something with the rock. And they didn't take time to paint the rock in his hand. Yeah, he looks like he's hard at work. And then his clothing, he's kneeling down working on stone. So yeah, those were all the humans, the Neanderthals. And like I said, I didn't really care much about the human paint job. I cared more about the animal paint job, so I went ahead and fixed up the animals, but just left the humans just like that. And then we have here a little campfire. Kind of looks more like a bush or a rose or something. But it's fire. It's painted kind of an orangey yellowish. And you can see the stones around it, the rocks that are built around the little campfire. Yeah, it says fire right there. And then you could see, if you look in the middle of the rocks, you can see what looks like wood. Yeah, it probably didn't take the time to paint that wood brown or black, even as if it was burning wood. But it's a simple but cute little fire design. And then finally we have this stone wall right here. You can see the carvings in the rocks right here. And then it has a skull sitting at the bottom. According to the back, it says stone wall and elk skull. So I guess this is a skull of an elk. Probably it's either a female elk or it was a male and the humans just took the antlers off and set the skull in front of the rock. And then I think this stone wall was also supposed to have some cave paintings on it, but since this set didn't really come with a good paint job, I haven't really decided what I wanted to paint on this stone wall. I want to do my own designs, but I'm not quite sure what to do yet or how to do it. But I'll eventually figure it out. So this is a stone wall. So I think it's a really nice set. I really like it. I've been trying to get it for a while and I finally got it. I got it on Amazon for about $12. So it's a pretty nice set, really well crafted, and like I said, these animals, they're not the way they're modeled, it's not the most accurate representation of what the animals would have looked like, but I'm okay with it. The only thing I didn't like was the horrible paint job that came with these guys, so I fixed up the paint job on the animals but left the humans being, because yeah, I cared more about the animals than I did about the people. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about my paint jobs. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you guys later.